Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Let's Move Austin with Theresa Bastian. Theresa, how are you today?
Hello, everybody. Hi, Chris.
Hello. I like the candlesticks in the background there.
Well, there is a little ambiance. I'm trying my decor.
That's very nice. I like it.
Not my strong suit.
Well, today I wanted to deviate from real estate, although I think we can tie it back into real estate. And I wanted to talk about schools because I know that you specifically have a huge passion for schools and education. And I just felt like it would be good for people to get to know you that way. So can we go that direction?
Guilty as charged. I am a total education geek.
I love it. It's so good though. So let me start with, what is your background in education? Give me some of
that. Well, many of you know I was a high school teacher, and yes, I taught English, I taught journalism. I do love to copy edit, and I will find your misspelling.
Nice. That's awesome.
That was in Washington State. And here in Austin, I've been very active with the PTA organization. I've been the president for a couple years at the middle school and the high school. Wow. And continue to be active this coming year. I guess I'm the incoming all area council PTA vice president. So
wow,
that'll be new.
It's very fancy. Yeah. I mean, it's very important.
It's very, very different than you think on Bad Moms. I'll just say that.
Okay. All right, good. Well, but I know you've been really engaged.
Things I did was working on the bond campaign last fall. AISD brought a bond campaign forward. It was over $1 billion, and a small group of us in Southwest Austin dug in and really got the word out about how important it was for our students and our schools. And that bond passed, and that was like one of the highlights of my year, actually.
So awesome.
Maybe
I love that.
Yeah.
I think here's what I love about this. This is my commentary on it, is that so many real estate agents just always talk about real estate, like, come to my open house. Look at what I just listed. And that's okay. I get there's a time for that, right? But I think when
you want to sell the house.
All right. Yeah, I get that. But I think we as like other humans and like people in the community feel way more connected when we know some backstory. Like when we know that you're a education geek and that you have been a teacher and you were involved in the bond that passed for schools. Like, I don't know, to me, that creates a stronger connection. And I want to work with real estate agents that I have a connection with, not just somebody who is good at real estate.
Well, even if you weren't an education geek, it's important that your realtor does know at least a baseline amount of knowledge about the schools, because in Austin, I mean, I don't know how it is where you live. It was not like this in Washington State, where I originally came from, but the which schools a home feeds to can really impact the property values.
Right.
Significantly. So if your realtor isn't aware of these nuances, you could be really missing out on, long-term appreciation.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's absolutely a correlation between school districts and home values. Absolutely. And I think people that have kids at the school level are thinking about, where do I want to live so that my kid can go to a particular school? Like, it's a huge factor.
Well, and I mean, the conventional wisdom, there's usually, come on, Chris, what's that marketing thing? Like, you can think of 2 examples of any brand, right? Like, you can think of Coke and Pepsi.
Sure, yeah.
What is it?
Like Mindshare. It's just Mindshare.
Yeah. So like in the realtor brain, maybe like for people that are moving to Austin that don't have kids, in the schools yet, they say, what's a good school? I would say most realtors have, 1 or 2 good schools in their mind.
Yeah.
But those might not be the best schools for this child or this family, or that knee-jerk reaction that this is the best school. It may be an excellent school, but if there's an equally effective school for this family that would save them $100,000 on their house,
good point.
Or put them, if getting the best school puts them out of their housing budget, and now this family thinks they've got, crap for a school, that's not really fair. I think it's our obligation to know much more than just 1 or 2 good schools.
Yeah, that's so good.
Sorry, soapbox.
I know, but this is what I love, right? Like, because you have a passionate opinion about it. We used to, in real estate training stuff, we used to call it big house, little house. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Where you'd have like, look, you could have the same. We talk about value. Value is more for the same or the same for less. more house for the same dollar or the same house for less dollar. Either of those scenarios create value.
Right.
So if you're in a different school district and you have one house that's 2,000 square foot and another house that's 2,000 square feet, but they're the only difference, same upgrade, everything's the same, but one's in a school district or feeder school that is $100,000 less for the same house, and the school and the education could be just as good. Yeah, you're right. Like, talk about being able to like stretch your dollar.
Right, or possibly even more appropriate for the student, because not every student, I know it's a shocker, but not every student needs to be on the, 5 AP courses, going to be top 10% in my class. There are some students that benefit so much more from a school that has, extended block periods where they have chickens and goats and science-based experiments and that sort of thing.
Right.
I think some of it is we assume that this is the best school because it gets, what we perceive as the best results. But really, you have to know what that family or what that kid needs in order to recommend a school.
That sounds to me like it comes down to a conversation. And this is where, if your real estate agent doesn't know how to ask you the right questions and doesn't understand the school system, they can't really be a very, very good fiduciary in helping you make a decision. But that's what I love about you, is that you've got that perspective and you can really ask really good questions.
Well, I love it. I love every chance I get to go to the different schools around the district, because Austin ISD is so large and I do work in all different parts of town. So it's really important to me. I feel like it's just as important to know the schools in the different neighborhoods as it is for me to go through those different neighborhoods. So any chance I get, I'm signing up to do, our board of realtors has bus tours where we go around and tour, 4 or 5 schools in a day, and we hear from the principals of those schools. And so I feel like I get a sense from every time I enter a school and really look around. And of course, being a former teacher, sometimes I'm drooling over how beautiful the campuses are. How nice they are. Sometimes they need a little work, and that's what our bond is for. But, I feel like it just gives me that much more, real life advice to be able to impart.
Yeah. I love that bond thing as a side note, but I love that to pass $1 billion, what was the number?
Billions. No, it's over $1 billion.
Wow. To have a community vote for that means that the community really values education. And that's why I think it's so important that people know you have this background in education and a real passion for it.
Well, thanks.
That matters. Yeah.
It was really awesome to work on that.
I bet. So I want to ask a couple of specific questions about schools. The first one I want to ask is sort of like what do parents need to know about Austin schools?
Austin schools. Austin is one of the largest urban school districts. We do serve an incredible range of, I say we, like I'm part of the district. Sorry.
You own it, girl. You own that.
Austin serves an incredible range, right? We serve everything. I think there's 21 languages. I'm going to get every one of these stats wrong, but just the gist of it, you go with. There are classrooms that teach entirely in foreign language, and the mission of that school is to, by the time those kids are in 5th grade, have them be dual language, meaning they can go into middle school in English and Spanish or whatever their home language was, but their whole elementary school is transitioning to have that English proficiency that they don't have at their home. So there are an incredibly range of needs. There's homelessness and poverty with our families, and there's extreme affluence where both parents are doctors and they expect their student to have challenges at every turn, and AISD is able to provide that from everything from remedial education, and my own son is in the special ed program, I've got no shame in that, all the way up through our magnet schools and LASA, which is our liberal arts and science academy, which is ranked one of the top 10 public schools in the nation. It's probably higher than 10, and I'm going to get blowback for not knowing exactly how high, but it's a really amazing place.
Right. We won't hold you to the specific numbers, but the gist.
Okay, that's good.
The gist of it.
Yeah.
What I want to explore a little bit about the misnomers or maybe the myths that parents have about, or misconceptions they have about schools. I know you gave me one just before we went live here, but.
Sure. The part of Austin that I live in Southwest Austin, there are a lot of large schools, and there are schools that are over the capacity, hence the bond. I mean, that's one major factor driving the need for the bond. There's been so much growth, so many families moving here. For example, the elementary school my kids went to is over 1,000 kids. The high school my kids go to now is over 3,000 kids. Yeah, their elementary school was larger than my high school. My high school wasn't that small. So there are a lot of parents that hear these things and like, wait a minute, how do they possibly have that many little kids in one building and not lose them or shuffle them? And conversely, you know, in the high school, how does my one kid, he's, you know, maybe he's kind of a loner, maybe he's not that socially aware. How is he going to navigate this?
Right.
And, you know, what I will say is it starts with leadership, and AISD does a fantastic job of hiring. And these teachers and principals and the staff, they know they are at a large school. It cannot be ignored. So they set this up so that they are able to provide a scaffolding for kids to really grab a hold of. And I've seen kid after kid after kid, you know, from the cheerleader types to the quirky types, be able to really find their niche. And sometimes it's easier to find a group of your own at a larger school too, because there's more diversity.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So I would say one misnomer is that a large campus has to be bad for kids.
Because my kid could get lost.
It can be. It has to be led correctly.
I think I agree with you. I was going to say, when you have more people, you have the opportunity to find your tribe, to find your niche inside of that huge cross section of humanity. I love that. But from a philosophical standpoint, you go, oh yeah, that's right, Chris. Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. But I think you have, I don't know if you want to share your story, but I think you have a really good example that, like, you know, you can have a kid go through a school and it comes out the other side finding a spot where they fit.
Right.
Yeah. So I just think for people, like, it's normal as a parent for you to feel like, oh, I don't want to lose my kid in the chaos of 3,000 students. And there's actually an opportunity for you to have for your kid to have a better experience going through that. So anyway, I love that. How important is it to live in the attendance zone?
Oh my gosh, this is a big deal. So the perceived difference between some of these schools is so great that people will actually try to live in one area of town that's more affordable, but send their kid over here to the school that, you know, they prefer their kid go to, but they can't afford housing in that area, which is, I mean, affordability. We need to do affordability on another episode. But AISD has changed the transfer policy. So it used to be that if my fourth grader was at XYZ elementary and then I moved across town, all his younger siblings could still go to that school. Because there'd be a sibling transfer preference.
Sure.
We don't do that anymore. So if you move, your younger kids don't get to go there. They have to go to their home school. They're also, so for this, we're talking about the campuses that are at capacity or over capacity. They're closed to transfer. So some people still think there's these legacy transfer abilities and they do not work anymore. So oftentimes I run into that with people that are looking for housing and they're like, well, it doesn't really matter if I'm here or here because, you know, Joey went there, so all my other kids can go. And I'm like, yeah, hate to break the bad news to you, they're not doing that anymore. Where if they are working with a realtor that isn't up on the transfer policy, they might have bought a house thinking their kids were going to be able to go and they can't.
Yeah, that would be so devastating. It's so important as a parent when you're planning where your kids go. And if your kid had a great experience, like our kids went through a school district in Spokane where they loved their teachers. And if we all of a sudden put them in a completely different environment, I just think as parents, we would have been like,
it's because you didn't choose it. It's all about planning.
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure there's good teachers in the other school too. It's just, you didn't plan. So then it feels forced.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So good. Any last minute thoughts or perspectives about the Austin schools and homes in schools and things like that? Anything?
No, I'm really proud of our public education in Austin. And, I just think it's really important. I know I don't have anything super pithy to end with, I don't think, Chris.
That's okay. I think here's what I would end with is.
You tell me what to end with.
Well, I don't have anything pithy either, but I do have an invitation that if people wanted to navigate some of these questions that they have about schools, you seem like a great resource. Is there a way for them to reach out to you to
Absolutely. Anybody can call me to talk about schools at any time. Oh, especially if you have an electric golf cart you'd like to donate to the Bowie High School for safety. I'm looking for an electric golf cart.
Okay,
but
nice.
In general, even if you don't want to donate an electric golf cart, you can call me or text me 512-297-3442. I also have some school-related resources on my website at www.letsmoveaustin.com.
I love it. I think it's such a great resource. So when you're thinking about schools, where should I be? So you guys definitely reach out to Theresa and let her help you, because you're just a good human. So I love that you are such a resource for people. So.
Thanks.
Another great episode in the books, Theresa.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Oh, this is one more. If you guys listening to this have any questions or ideas for content, right? Like you really want to know about this kind of a thing with real estate, like let us know. Like same thing that Theresa, call her. You can go to her website, letsmoveaustin.com, and just contact her to let her know what else you want to know through the show. Cool. All right.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.